What is up, everybody? Sound the trumpets. Welcome to the first annual Shawnees, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for being here. What a pleasure it is to have you guys here today. I myself am Sklem on Sleeper, here with my good buddy C-Bomb and Blues for Sale, joining us for a special edition of the Chopping Block. How are you gentlemen today?
We're winners.
I'm
We're
excited.
winners today.
Were you guys winners in your fantasy leagues, man? Let's chop it up for a minute about how this first week of the playoffs went for you two.
Yeah, I did pretty well. I had, I think I said nine leads I was in playoffs in. Well, 9 leads that were playing in playoffs without any buys, and I advanced in 7 of them. Guaranteed money in 3 of them. So pretty good week overall for me. I don't know how my best balls did. I know I was leading a few of those. I thought it was ending last week, and I put some trophies in the chat, thinking I won some, and then turns out we had one more week, and I'm probably gonna lose a couple of those. But overall, pretty good. So.
You got a prices right for that one, buddy.
I'm in 14 leagues. I'm in 6 made the playoffs, 4 got first round buys, and 2 made it to the finals after today. So I got 6 teams going into the finals out of 14. Not bad. I feel it's pretty good considering it was a pretty rough year as far as my quarterbacks went this year, because I'm with the Jordan Love and some other players that didn't perform very well. But
are you still gonna go so quarterback heavy next year, or are you gonna?
I always do. I got some Joe Burrow shares. I got some Jared Goff shares. I'm a quarterback whisperer.
How far did Mingo slide down your board this year?
He slid right out. slid right out.
Speaking of some hot takes from Scott, I have a little bit of a bone to pick with you right now because I just realized that you purposely scheduled your vacation to start the week that TJ Hawkinson makes his 8th straight appearance this season. And I know you did that on purpose. I know this was not a mistake, Scott. You act like, oh, I've had this vacation with my family planned forever. No. You planned this when you saw what happened with TJ's injury when he was coming back. You're like, okay, what's 8 weeks from now?
Yeah.
Perfect. I'll take my family on a Christmas cruise. We know you did this because you're afraid of the golden locks, buddy. And I'm sorry, man. TJ looks like he's just fine going into next week, and I think you might end up having to come back here and have a nice pub sub waiting for your good buddy Can.
Yeah. I this will be the second one I got him this year because he helped me do a little bit of work around the house. So I bought him one, but yeah, we'll probably both. I'm not just gonna buy him one without getting myself one. So
how did you not use that pub sub even though he did work around the house? It still would have counted as a double duty pub sub towards something else, man. I mean, you got like 7 bets with him. You could have double duty that pub sub.
Oh, I'll be getting him quite a few pub subs. I think I owe Connor maybe a couple, and I don't know if I made any other bets with anybody else, but
it feels like Scott's just going to cater the first ever Ballsville gathering with pub subs.
Yeah. So, but they're quite tasty. So we'll eat them on air one time. Let you guys salivate while we're eating them.
Oh yeah, I can't wait. Especially when you have those nice golden locks hanging down and the horns on. I cannot wait for it.
I'll probably have a golden tan. That's about the only golden you're going to get out of me.
Oh man, I love it. You're lucky you don't live where I live, buddy, because if we were doing this podcast in the same room, those golden horns would have been sitting on your desk by now.
So what about you, Sean? How was it a good
I mean, I'm not as precise as you, which is why you are the perfect man for our daily fantasy updates on the website, which is available to you guys on the ballsvillegame.com, by the way. But I'm not as solid with my numbers, so I would say that I think I got into like 16 out of my 30 leagues or 27 leagues that are done at this point because I didn't count the 2 guillotines, obviously, that I'm already out of. So you could count those as losses, I guess. So, 29 leagues. But so I got 16 out of 29 or so. I think I lost 4 this week. But the main ones I wanted to win, I won. So that makes it like a win for me because the ones I lost, like, were almost happy to be in the playoffs kind of teams, like my Paper Tiger squad and the high six that went down. Yeah, those teams aren't ones I expected to hold on to anything for me, but the teams I really wanted to win, especially the one that I really, really wanted to win because I really, really didn't like my opponent on a personal level, and it's really, really nice to take his ass out. So, other than that league, they're really everything else that I like is that my friends and stuff like that. I did
Is,
pretty good, still going strong. So I'm happy
is
with
that
it.
is that the one you're facing Trevor in? The one you really didn't like your opponent?
No, no, it's not a Ballsville player, and at this point, I don't think I would ever want him as a part of the Ballsville squads. But he's definitely somebody that will get on your nerves, and it's really nice when you take those types of people out of the league, man.
Yeah,
Especially
yeah.
when they've been just talking up since day one.
Well, like I said before, I know everybody always has one league that they really, really want to win, and mine was that 50 the mid stakes Katana League. I really want to win that one because there's a lot of really good owners in that one. What about you, Connor? Is there one league that you're like, if I'm going to win anything, I want to win this league?
Well, it's my home dynasty, so I built like this, amazing squad in my home dynasty, and it just has never, come to a fruition of making it past the first round of playoffs. It's always just like crap the bed, and so this year I finally got like a first round bye. I was like, and I came this close to losing it, and I was just like, oh yes, if I had to pick one league to win, it would be that one, just because I thought it was like this great squad, and it's never really gone anywhere until this year. So
that's always nice. Looks like Cheeky's in chat. He says I have 26 dynasty teams, 12 made the playoffs, 3 buys, 9 advanced to the semis. Congratulations to you. I see Trevor's in there, but I don't see
Yes,
any.
sir. Way to go, Cheeky, man.
Yeah,
Good
I don't
for you,
see
brother.
winning from Trevor. Trevor, are you even winning anything?
no.
Trevor did win something, man. Trevor, it wasn't you, by the way. Just to clarify once again that it was not Trevor that I beat that I really, really, really wanted to beat. It's a totally different person.
Nobody believes that.
It definitely wasn't. I did beat Trevor, I believe, in a league, but it wasn't like something that I was super excited about. It just happened to be the case.
You just had to put him down. He's a sad dog.
Yeah, he was in my way. I mean, what can you do about that?
All right.
Oh man. So, anyways, guys, so Connor did a really great thing for us today. He went through the leagues and he pulled up some information that I think would be really fun to kind of talk about before we get into our next segment. So, Connor, if you could go ahead and pull up your screen share when you're ready, my friend, and we could talk about this breakdown. Why don't you give us kind of the rundown on what you put together here for us?
Yeah, so I basically just went into all the leagues and looked at like the drafting, just to break it down by position, because I know like that's a big, who should I draft first? Because you're in a guillotine, especially an 18, team guillotine, your first 2 picks are just crucial. So you have to make the right pick. And I did a little spreadsheet here about which positions went first, and
I'm gonna move you over just so we could read all the names that are
no
there.
worries. Yeah, and then just so you can see who went first and what positions, and so you see that's mostly lean towards running back and receiver, which I think we kind of expected. But it was a receiver in the first round, and then running back almost a large majority in the second round for these playoffs teams. So 12 teams made up this list. And you can see each of their picks. And then I made a list of which picks actually made it on their team all year round for these playoff teams. And only one player stayed on all 3, or one team in all 3 leads, and that was Josh Jacobs. He was never picked up in any guillotine. He stayed on the same team all year round. So, and then we have, Lamar's in 2, Aaron Jones is on 2 teams, Garrett Wilson, Justin Jefferson. As you can see the list here, these guys were, never got picked up in these 3 leads. So just a little helpful tool of how you should go about picking.
Right. Spoiler alert, this will be brought up again here in the Shawnees. But the thing that we talked about pre-gaming, and I want to make sure we kind of discuss here a little bit, is it was really surprising to me that the one player that's made it on every team all the way through to the playoffs was Josh Jacobs. That to me was like a real kind of like a shock that he was the only one that made it all that way, number one, and the fact that he was that valuable of a player to have on your squad when he was kind of the guy that we faded a lot in the preseason. this year, with the exception of, our good buddy down the bottom here, Lutz for Sale, who kind of hyped him
Love-
up there. But that was
love-
only
love
after the AJ Dillon injury. Before the AJ Dillon injury, I don't know if you were as high on him. So I know a lot of us faded him. So that, to me, that is like one of those things that you always want to kind of look back on it and just, I have a tendency to do this preseason. I don't know if you guys are the same way or not, but I have a tendency to sometimes like pick certain players and just fade them no matter what. And it's just I can't get my mind around that being a valuable asset, right? So it's hard for me sometimes. And Josh was one of those players this year that I still had a hard time wrapping my head around that. And it's come back to bite me in the butt because I don't have a lot of shares of him. So, if I learn anything, that I've tried to learn multiple seasons in a row and I just can't seem to get my stupid head around it, is that I should never immediately dismiss a player that's proven productive.
Yeah, I mean, you should never dismiss a player from every single team, but I mean, I think we're always going to have our biases towards some players. It's really hard to, when drafting, it's really hard to say, a guy you don't like or you don't think's going to do anything, and then you go like, oh yeah, I'm going to draft him. But I mean, you have to break
And it's
tendencies.
not that exactly that. It's not that I didn't like draft him or didn't like. I would have drafted him if he fell to me in the right scenarios. Which a couple of leagues he did. I wasn't happy about having to take him, but I felt obligated. But I was so minimal here and there amongst my leagues that it really didn't like move the needle on my.
Yeah, I've definitely felt like that. It always comes back. It doesn't matter who it is. You could pick a guy that's not going to do nothing, and then you pick them as your guy you're going to fade or whatever, and then they're the guy that blows up, or the guy you love is always going to fail. It just seems like fantasy works out that way. So,
yeah. What do you think, Scott? Man, you got any thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, I go into every draft, and it's such you like Connor said earlier. I think in any league, your first two picks are very crucial. You can't miss on those picks. So I try to I try to take away, things that could go wrong, like a guy coming off injury. Like I faded McCaffrey I didn't have any McCaffrey because I'm a quarterback guy in Superflex. I usually take quarterback number one, or in some leagues I went with, CeeDee Lamb, and I faded Jamar Chase, which actually came back to obviously hurt me, but it didn't kill me because in that range, I was able to take some other players that obviously didn't do as well, but they didn't crash. And, Chase, if it wasn't for the contract issue, which you never really know with those things. I mean, they could hold out and then they miss the first 4 weeks, and that's 4 weeks of production you don't get. And he did start off a little slow, but he had such a ripping second half that he made up for the lost time that he had earlier in the season. As far as Josh Jacobs go, I was on the Josh Jacobs train, because, even though AJ Dillon was there, I've always followed, players and when they get to a certain point in time where they begin to get this syndrome called oatmeal pants. And once they get this oatmeal pants syndrome and they just can't get rid of it. So I had a feeling that AJ Dillon was either going to get hurt or faded out, and Josh Jacobs was going to have a big year.
Any guys you have on your radar to get oatmeal pants next year?
It's still a little early. I'm probably going to have to do a little bit digging.
Yeah, I think we need to save the oatmeal pants conversation for an off-season pod, man. We can really.
Yeah,
I was just trying to get some hot takes, see if he had anybody.
Yeah. I gotta wait. Sometimes
Connor always trying to go off book.
Yeah, the symptoms usually come in the spring. So once the symptoms start creeping in, then I can start picking away.
Diagnosing them.
Yeah, diagnose them then.
I love it. And Alex says that the winners are determined, guys. So we are going to talk about the mini league champion here at the end of this podcast, guys. So stay tuned for that as well. We got a lot of great things for you guys here tonight. It's going to be an awesome episode. So, yeah, that's really good stuff there, Connor. That's an awesome sheet there. We should try to figure out a way to get that available to you guys online. I think we can make that happen for you.
Hey, just one little tad, I heard y'all talking. I watched the last pod earlier today, and y'all were talking about my love for the Jets.
I was wondering how long this was going to take. Oh, man, we made it. How long did we make it, ladies? 15 minutes into the pod, and this comes up. Honestly, Connor, I had you for a lot shorter time than that. I was thinking closer to 7 minutes. So
I don't even like
the time I thought it was going to take.
Connor, they are looking for a head coach if you want to inquire.
I have never liked the Jets in my entire life, but they get so much hate on every single pod. I have to have some sort of defense. But there's one name that Sean absolutely hates on here, and that's Garrett Wilson. He's on 2 teams and never got dropped. So I don't see one bill.
I
There's
wouldn't
not
say
one
that I
bill on
hate
this
Garrett
list.
Wilson at all. I mean, out of everybody on the Jets, I think I like him and Brees Hall the most. I just don't like the rest of the Jets.
Yeah, the last 2 Guillotine pods, you're 2 weeks ago is Garrett Wilson. You have to drop him, and then last week it was Brees Hall.
Yeah, because Aaron Rodgers couldn't throw the ball more than 10 yards for a while. And now he went and took more ayahuasca, and he's back to throwing a little bit again. And we'll see if that can make it through 3 more weeks or not. But I'm definitely not trusting him in my lineup if I don't have to.
If you had the Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, Garrett Wilson stack this week in DFS, you won all the money.
Oh yeah.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, but they're not going to play that shitty ass team every week.
No, but that was the contrarian. That was the contrarian play this week in DFS. If you wanted to win tournaments.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, hopefully that was up on a ballsvillegame.com for all you savvy DFS players.
No, the ballsvillegame.com had a rough week this week.
Ballsville hates the Jets.
Yeah, the Derrick Henry and did not come through this week for us in cash games, which was he was in a smash spot. 5 touchdowns, 5 for the Ravens, and he didn't get freaking 1.
They kept throwing the ball in like obvious running situations. They were up, and it was a lot of it was terrible for if you have any Derrick Henry shares. Just watching that game, because then they would throw the ball to Justice Hill. I think Justice Hill had like 18 fantasy points.
Yeah, it's so gross. All you can do is play the best plays, and you can't. The teams will just. That's why they call it the National Fake You Out League. It just fakes you out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of great topics that we could get into. Me and Scott had a long conversation about turf earlier that I think is a nice topic for an off-season podcast at some point. Is there's a lot of things right now that's being done that we just think is ridiculous, and it's based on just money, and it's not the right approach. But we'll get into that at another time. Right now, what we have for you guys before we get into the Shawnees, which I know everybody's excited about the Shawnees. I am too. Trust me. I mean, I want you guys to see the Shawnees. It's going to be great. But before we get there, with a little bit of buildup, we have some things we want to talk about. And we decided it would be fun to put them in a nice little Jeopardy format for you guys. So we're going to play Guillotine Jeopardy right here. And, as you all know, we've all watched Jeopardy, RIP Alex Trebek, great guy. You basically get a statement given to you, and you have to answer with a question. So, guys, as we read through this here, when you start you got to start with a, who is, what is, so on and so forth. All right. So if you guys don't start with that, I'm going to cut you off and you're done. You don't get to talk. You don't get to take your point. So, and Connor, I know how much that would bother you. So make sure that you start with a question. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Let's pull up our first Jeopardy topic. In Guillotine Jeopardy, it's considered the most important position in a guillotine league. Once again, it's considered the most important position in a guillotine league. So let's start with you, Ludes, for sale, our special guest. If you have an answer for this.
Well, I think I learned this from Connor. So I think it would be, what is the tight end position?
Oh, all right. And explain to me why you call it the tight end position is your answer for this, because I'm curious if you're going to end up at the same one with him.
Oh, well, because of the scarcity of the position. That's basically what it comes down to. I mean, in any format, especially, in Guillotine or two tight end, or, not 2 tight ends, but tight end premium formats, your tight end just gives you a huge positional advantage against the other players if they decide to punt at that position.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great answer, to be honest with you, and it's very close to the answer that I'm going to give, but we'll see if it's the same or not, because I'm not going to go next. We're going to pass this on over to C-Bomb and see what C-Bomb has to say.
Well, now that Ludes has taken my answer, what I would normally say, I think Ludes is correct on the scarcity spot, so I'm going to go a little bit different. I'm going to go quarterback, because they have shown that the top tier quarterbacks like Josh Allen, your Lamars, your Joe Burrows, your Jalen Hurts have carried you probably to the end here. I think Lamar's on there on that list I made a couple times. I know Joe Burrow's on there at least once. So I think it's likely one of the two answers is either tight end or quarterback. And so since Ludes went with tight end, I'll go with quarterback.
So do I get a point? Do I get a point?
Oh, no. We're not scoring this Jeopardy.
Oh,
we're all getting $100 for our answers.
Oh, because I was going to say if we were scoring, Connor would have to get he wouldn't get a point because he didn't say what is
a quarterback.
Yeah,
I was going to stop him. I really was, but I didn't want to interrupt the flow of the conversation, so I let him go through with it. But next time, Connor, that's your first warning. There will not be a second.
We also don't have buzzers, so.
Oh man. All right. So since you guys went with two positions that I strongly considered, I think I'm gonna go ahead and make a right turn and go with the running back position. What is the running back position?
Go figure.
And of course, Scott's gonna say, "Oh, Sean and his running backs." But the thing is, with the running back position, if you look throughout the league, what was the one position that made it all the way to the playoffs on every single league? Josh Jacobs, the running back. If you look at those numbers that he posted, most of the players, if you would tally up the actual positions, I would venture to say that the running back is probably on that list more than most. So
I think it's actually wide receiver has one more spot over the running back, but I think
but there are also more wide receivers in the market out there. So exactly. I'm still going to go with the scarcity of the running back position to topple that tie, basically. So for me, I think it's always going to be running back to start with. Tight end, quarterback are always close behind, but I always want to get that one running back that I know I can count on. And it might not have worked out for you this year if you went with a guy like Brees or CMC, but that's just the chance you take. It's still worth it to knock that position out because the guys who went with like Barkley and Henry are loving life.
Yeah, I mean, just to go off of what you're saying and what the little spreadsheet I said a little bit earlier, just to attach the two topics. I think 6 running backs went in the first round to the 12 playoff teams, and then 7 wide receivers. Or no, it's 5 running backs and then 6 wide receivers, and then in the second round, the leap went to the running back almost, went quite high. It went 7 running backs and only 2 wide receivers. So
if we went 2 rounds deep, it would sway running back drastically.
Yeah. So it's just 12 to 8 in the first 2 rounds would be running back to wide receiver. So I'd say, you're probably right. With the scarcity, getting a running back early is important, but I think getting a good quarterback, regardless of like in the 3rd round or 4th round, is a little bit more important because of the scarcity of.
I mean, you're talking to a guy whose quarterback just scored 40 and 50 points back-to-back weeks in fantasy football, right? So, I'm never going to argue with that. Quarterback is always a valuable spot, especially if you can get those top 3 or 4 guys.
Yeah.
That's a guarantee. That's, if you're sitting at like 12 or 13 and like a Josh Allen is still on the board in a guillotine league, like you are counting your lucky stars, man.
Yeah.
You better go buy a lottery ticket because you are on a streak. That would be an epic pickup right there. So
if you have Josh Allen or Lamar and you're in a guillotine, you're probably pretty happy with their production, especially in this last 3-4 weeks of the season.
Yep. And you don't have to spend money on a quarterback. You never have to worry about it. So every time a quarterback gets bought early on in the season, especially if your buys late in the year, then you can sit there and just be like, hey, that's less money I have to compete against for the guys I can use now to add to my squad. And then you all saw it halfway through the year when we get down to where we're at, 10, 9, 8 teams, quarterbacks on the waiver wire are some good starting quarterbacks on the waiver wire. They're just, we don't need them. So, you can pick those guys up later on in the season as long as your guy has like a late buy, week 10 or later. So, it's definitely the way to go, I think, too. So those were some great answers, guys. I think all 3 of those positions could easily be the most important position in a guillotine league. So let's move on to Double Jeopardy, ladies and gentlemen. On our Double Jeopardy, we have the the statement of it's widely known to be the best fob strategy in guillotine leagues. Ooh, it's widely known to be the best fob strategy in guillotine leagues. What say you, C-Bomb?
I'm gonna go with what is wait and see.
And how do wait and see work? Explain wait and see.
I would say, you wait and you look at what the league has done over the last couple of weeks, or you try to wait as long, you hold as much money as you can until the end. As we'll see, as we go over the scores, I think you'll see how that worked out for one guy named Chief's Life. He wait and he took advantage of us quite rudely, I might add, and took all the players from the second best, the best team left in the league, and took all 11 of his dollars that he had left and took them all. So I think that's a good strategy to incorporate.
Absolutely. I mean, that might be the type of strategy that could win you a Shawnee. I don't know. We'll find out. So what about you, Scott? Do you agree with him as far as the wait and see strategy is the right approach?
I feel if you have holes in your
Frame it as a question.
if you have holes in your roster, I think the wait and see approach is not the way to go. I think it would be what is spend what you have early. So go out, fill those positions of need. If you wait on tight end, if you were lacked at quarterback, go out, get those studs, get them early, because it's a 1 week elimination possibly. And the worst thing you want to do is be eliminated and have all that fab sitting there not even used, and you look like a fool.
What's fab?
So spend wisely early.
I mean, I can't say I disagree with you because I literally did that in all three of the leagues. So, granted, I only made the playoffs in one, so I don't know if that tells you anything or not, but I employed that exact strategy 3 times across the board this year. So, I can't argue with it. I have to kind of go with, it's a cop out to say that it depends on the way the season's flowing, right? Because can't really you can't approach that strategy like the beginning of the year and then, I spent all my money and then want to change. Like you've already done committed at that point. So, but with the wait and see, you could always go into a season with a wait and see, and then 3 weeks in, you're like, dude, I really want this player, and I've been struggling at this position, so I'm gonna go ahead and pay for him. And then you end up in the boat that you still have to spend a good amount of money to pick up those guys. So it's tough to say what's the best fob strategy in general. I would say probably the best answer would be to stay like water throughout the year and don't be afraid to spend week 1 if you underperform and barely survive. But if you're sitting there decent, you've got good matchups going into week 2, you scored well week 1, you've got good bench players, no injury scares, okay, maybe wait another week and see where things go and then kind of play it week to week at that point. So I think my answer would have to be what is week to week.
Yeah, just to add on top of, so you go ahead, Scott.
No, I was just going to say, same thing to add on top of that. You use your fab money is like ammunition. Even if you don't need a certain position, like let's say you're strong at tight end, but there's a good tight end out there. I mean, go get them. Go get these guys on your team, even if you don't need them, because as I did see a few times in the one guillotine league I was in, where it allows trading for fab. If a guy misses out on a player and you see he missed out on a player, let's say he underbid and he didn't get him and you got him, you could always go to that same owner down the line and be like, hey man, if I'm getting low on fab, you have fab, you missed out on some guys. If you want this guy that bad, I'll give him to you for a little bit of a discount. Get some more, I can get some more fab, and then he gets the player that I don't really need, and I picked up a little bit more fab, or maybe picked up something else too, maybe a player and some fab that maybe I missed out on. So you can kind of use that strategy too, especially if somebody's facing elimination. with the the pre-scores that come out and they're looking like they could be eliminated. They may have to make a move.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, and that's one of the reasons that I personally prefer to have trading in Guillotine. I know it's not the standard, considering from what GuillotineLeagues.com did, but I like it. I think it adds a different dynamic and another tool for your tool belt as a manager, if you want to kind of put it that way. So, it doesn't mean that we'll keep it going forward. We'll talk about it as a group and we'll see what we're gonna do for 2025. But at this point, I personally enjoy it. So, we'll see what happens.
What were you going to say, Connor?
Yeah, just to add on top of both y'all's points, I think it's more so than just week to week. It's league to league. Looking at what your league has done in the past, if they're overspending and they're.
I'm sorry, Connor, you did not phrase this as a question. So we are going to have to move on.
It's already had my answer. This isn't my answer. I was just adding on top of your point.
I know. I'm just teasing you, bro. It's just like I had to do it at some point in Jeopardy, and you just gave me an opportunity. I had to go with it.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I do agree with you,
point.
though. If the league is different, like if a league's spending money like crazy, then you can change your approach, versus a league that's real cheap. So, yeah, you're league to league, week to week, it would probably be like the way to phrase it. So, all right. So let's move on to our final Jeopardy, guys. And if we don't all have the same answer to this one, I'm going to be really irritated with you guys. So, final Jeopardy, our statement is it's a brand new fantasy game that combines the best of redraft, guillotine, and best ball bracketology for a one-of-a-kind fantasy experience. Scott, let's start with you, buddy. What is your answer?
What is the one and only, never duplicated triathlon?
Exactly. C-Bomb, I know you have the same answer, as do I. Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't already know, the upcoming Triathlon 2025 is very, very, very close to complete. We are mere steps away from the finish line. So at this point, we are going to come at you guys strong. We're looking at a timeline of early March is what we're shooting for, to really kind of fully expose you guys to it, and then potentially even open up our early sign up window. So I hope you guys are excited as we are about this, because this is going to be something that we've been working really, really hard on, and from the feedback we've gotten up to this point, you guys are as happy with where we've gotten to as we are, and are excited as we are to launch this. So we really thank you guys too for all your help and all your feedback. Everybody who participated in this year's pilot triathlon, we really did do a great job raising that baby throughout this year. And going into next year, we're going to put football in his hand, shoulder pads on his shoulders, and we're going to send him out there into the wild. And I think we got ourselves a little Dion on our hands here, because this kid's just going to run wild all over the competition. So I definitely am excited about this, guys. I know that you guys are too. And I just wanted to bring it up and, give us something fun to talk about here on this last question, because that's what we're here for, guys, is a great time. So, Scott, man, I mean, how many of those leagues do you think you're going to jump in, man? To be honest with me.
Oh, geez. I'll probably get in I'd say probably 6.
You think
so? I'll invest about $300.
You'll invest about $300. Okay. I mean, that sounds like a good start right there. I mean, you say 6 brackets, so we get 6 brackets deep. That would be 24 people per bracket. So we're looking at, that would be what, like 700-800 people, somewhere in that range, right?
Yeah.
Does that sound about right?
Yeah, I mean, we got to get the people, which I know we will. So,
Wait, 24 times 6. Why am I doing? I'm adding a 0 into this, guys. I'm sorry. It's gonna be
like
the 80 people, but
players.
we're gonna get 60 brackets, is what we're actually gonna get this year, right, guys? I'm not hearing any confidence. Right, guys? Like,
Cheeky's ready. He said, "Sign me up."
right?
Yeah, I
I
don't
love
know.
it. Cheeky's always here for us, man. Cheeky's been on point all season, been a constant member of our audience, and we definitely love him for it.
I mean, I can say 6, but I say that every year. I say, this year I'm only going to get in this many leagues, and it ends up like times 2. So you never know.
Yeah. How about you, Connor?
Yeah,
How
I'm
many
looking
how
at
many you gonna get in?
probably as many as I can. We'll see how it goes.
Just as many as you can. You don't have a kind of projected number, man. Come on, give me
Well, it
some.
depends on how many brackets we do. So, like you said, it depends on how many people we get signed up. If y'all do, you'll have 6 of them. I'll probably join 6. If you have 16 of them, I'll probably join 10. But
Oh my gosh, you know what? Before we pull into the Shawnees, there is one thing I did forget that I wanted to talk about in the very beginning, and it's because our buddy Ludes was able to jump on with us, and I know this hurts his heart a little bit. So I just want to get a little bit of information from you on how you feel about the Monty break and, well, I should say tear, and what's going to happen now with Monty with the Lions. And on top of that, you lost like 2 other defenders, which we don't talk much about on a fantasy league, but it's super important when it comes to your team. So, are you hurt by this Monty news? Did a tear fall down your cheek?
Nah, I mean, we'll get into it a little more tomorrow when we get on the normal pod. But yeah, the injuries are pretty bad this year. For the Lions, it's unfortunate, but I think it's going to open up an opportunity for Jahmyr Gibbs to really show his talent, and if he can carry the workload and get get 20 to 25 touches. But Craig Reynolds has been pretty good when he's given the opportunity. So especially between the tackles, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets some goal line work too. I don't think he's going to get much out of the passing game. I think it's all going to be Gibbs, but they're going to have to get JMO more involved. Laporta's really going to have to start stepping up. And then they're just going to have to try to outscore teams because they can't stop anybody. Too much injuries. I'm a little irritated they didn't really go out. I mean, they did get Smith, um, on the defense, but I really wanted them to go after like Max Crosby or get a really decent pass rusher. So, but you can just and it's just been a juggernaut of a division. I mean, the Vikings just won today. They're 12-2. The Eagles look like they're not going to lose. I mean, they have a big game against the Redskins this week. So, it's I mean, there could be a team that has 3 losses and they're going to be a wild card team. So that's crazy. So, but yeah, we'll get into it more tomorrow.
Yeah, that is nuts though to think about the fact that we're going to have a wild card team that potentially could only have 3 losses. I mean, that to me is just unbelievable that we're that good of group on that side of the ball. And not only that,
you're gonna have a
them
wild card.
are all in the
You're gonna have
same.
a wild card team. You're gonna have a wild card team that has 2 losses too, because I mean they're all wild card games. So there's only one team that gets a bye.
Yeah, it's unbelievable to me how good like that whole division is looking right now. You got Lions, Packers, Minnesota, right? All 3 of them are in the playoffs right now, and I think they're all 3 locked in, right? Or the Packers still need one more win to secure their
yeah,
spot.
Packers is only at least 1, if not 2, because I know there's quite a few teams on that 8-6, 7-7 range, and there's still 3 games left. So yeah, still they're 10-4, but they're still if they drop a couple, they can be on the fringe.
Let's answer some of these chat questions. So Cheeky says, "Sign me up for the triathlon." You're going to be one of the guys you sign up, and then Spencer Kading. I wonder if this is the same guy that's in my high stakes leagues.
Probably.
Spencer, you had a good year this year. Congrats. He said, "I'm in. Do you want us to send emails so you can notify us, or just follow on YouTube?" I don't know if that's with the future episodes or if it's the triathlon.
I would say
triathlon.
Yeah, I think he's trying to get the triathlon. I would say follow on YouTube, and then also check out our website.
The ballschoolgame.com.
So,
Yep. Yeah, we'll have once we get the docs done, the Google Docs done, we'll definitely email them or send them to you guys so you guys can look over them and pass them on to people. And then, yeah, Zoobs, me and you in the finals. And then Jimmy Wojo says, what about Vaki? He looks pretty good. Might be able to take a few carries from the Lions. Yeah, true. He might get a little bit of run too. We'll see what happens against when they play Chicago.
Yeah, I mean it's going to be interesting to see what they do, man. I think they should just lean on Gibbs though, really. I mean, they've kept him healthy throughout the season and given him like, half the workload, so why not just lean into the guy that's got the obvious skills to be like a powerhouse?
Yeah.
I mean, you only got what, 5 games left? They got 3 games left in the season, and then if they get the bye, they've got the 2 games in the Super Bowl, so 6 games. I think he can make it as the workhorse for 6 more games, I think.
Yeah. It's just the Lions just can't afford. I mean, they can't afford any more injuries on offense. I mean, if they start losing players like Amon Ra or like anybody on the line, they're freaking done. I mean, they're gonna get beat.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, I don't know, man. I'm worried about him. I'm scared about him, dude. I don't want him to lose because I really wanted a Bills-Lions Super Bowl. That's like my ultimate hope, is that the Bills and Lions make it this year and we can watch that just wonderful game play out. I think that would be so fun.
Wake up, Sean.
So, what's
Stop
wrong?
dreaming.
What's going on? Is something wrong? Did something
Yeah,
happen?
you're dreaming.
Telling you to quit dreaming.
Oh God, she scared me, bro. I was looking at another screen real quick, and you got me all freaked out thinking that we froze or something like that while I was talking.
Might as well have listened to you.
Oh man. Oh, I see how it is. Okay, so it's like that, huh? All right. So just because you're saying that now, it makes me want to change the Shawnees. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like I should go ahead and change the awards now.
No Shawnee for you.
Spoiler alert, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, that's funny. All right. So let's get in to what everybody has been waiting for. It is the Shawnees, ladies and gentlemen. We are here today for the first annual Guillotine Awards, aka the Shawnees. Yes, it's my name. And guess what, guys? It's my pod, so I can do that. I created the award. I decided who won the awards. I'm going to name the dang award after me and put a fat white guy on it. So, congratulations, guys. You are going to be the first recipients of this amazing fat white guy trophy that someday will potentially be available to sit on your shelf. So, for now, though, we have a digital Shawnee for you. So, let's get into our first category, shall we? And our first category is going to be Pod Listener of 2024. So this one was new for even my co-hosts because I spent the last couple of minutes creating that conversation to add this to the slideshow for you guys because I really wanted to highlight this gentleman. His name is Cheeky Hobson. Everybody, let's give a round of applause. The reason that he is our pod listener of 2024 is because, as he stated earlier, he has literally been here through every single week with us. Rain or shine, snow or sleet, he is like the mailman. He has showed up weekly. So thank you so much, Cheeky Hobson. You deserve the first Shawnee in history. Congratulations, buddy. Yes, you did kind of guilt me into it, but you earned it, though. You didn't guilt me into it. You just brought it to my attention that you deserved it, and you were right. So, you guys agree with me? I mean, come on, you Connor, you've been here every week. This guy's been with us, constantly interacting and loving life. Him and Zoobs basically are the two, and as much as I wanted to give it to Zoobsies, we could get Zoobsies in on some more action down the road because he's part of the family. He's on pods with us. He's had some recognition. Cheeky has not been available, so we wanted to make sure he got his notes.
I mean, I think you snubbed somebody. I think you put it in the chat. Yep, he was snubbed.
You're required to be here, man. That does not count, man. That's like trying to get kudos for showing up on time to work, dude.
I have to be here every Monday listening to Sean brag about his teams and the Bills and how much he hates the Jets. And
Oh man, that's so funny because I think if we had to do a poll of all of our listeners right now, I'm pretty sure I would not be the one that they said likes to brag about his teams.
Yeah, because you don't have nothing to brag about like the other two guys on here.
Oh man, why are you taking away from Cheeky Hobson's time? We were supposed to be hyping up Cheeky Hobson in the first Shawnee victory, and you're over here hijacking his time.
His
That is
name's on
not
the
fair.
screen still. His name's on the screen.
Scott, there's no yawning at the Shawnees.
I know. East Coast time.
Oh man. All right. So for the sake of my special guest, let's get this moving, shall we? For the next Shawnee, we have I'm sorry, that was not meant to be on there. You did not draft Josh Jacobs to win that. That was just me trying to do this very fastly.
Act like it didn't happen.
The next one is best draft pick in a Guillotine League. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk before we go into the winner on this one real quick about what it took to qualify for this award. So, in order to win this Shawnee, it was very prestigious Shawnee. You had to make it to the playoffs with this player from your draft. So this player had to be drafted by you, and you had to make the playoffs in the league that you drafted him in. And then based on that information, if you had the same player as other people, it was based on where you drafted them and who got him for the best value. So, drum roll, please, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. The winner is TB76. Whoa, whoa, whoa. TB76. Way to go. I believe that's Trevor, too, if I'm not mistaken.
That's a
So,
Panther.
Todd.
Not Tortoise, right?
That's
No,
Todd Baker.
That's a
Todd.
Panther.
That's right.
A
Todd.
Panther. He's a Panther fan.
Hey, there you go. He's got something to root for this season finally. So there we go. Good job. Congratulations. Let's see what it was that he did. And this was the Josh Jacobs taken at 214. And as we talked about, Josh Jacobs was the most valuable player across the board in our leagues this year. So for him to get him at 214, he did take him 2 picks later than 2 other people from the other 2 leagues. So he got the best value for that reason. But there are 2 people that have honorable mentions that I just am blanking on the names right now because we went through so much pregame. But maybe Connor can pull that information if he has time at some point to give us a heads up. But either way, it does not matter because TB is the one who got him at the right price. So congratulations, my friend. That is the second Shawnee of like history. So I mean, these are going to be like down the road when this blows up and we have a full-on like SB style ceremony. These are going to be worth some money, guys. Digital currency, baby.
Just to elaborate on that, it was Cash 3 and Braveheart that also chose Josh Jacobs, and then Jimmy Wojo and 18 Heads and a duffel bag. They both took Josh Jacobs at the 212 and kept him on their roster the entire time as well.
Jimmy Wojo.
Way to go, guys. See, and that's why Connor's been such a great co-host this whole year. See, he should get a Shawnee for that, but I didn't do a co-host Shawnee, so
can't get snubbed for that one.
Right, but maybe he'll get lucky enough to get another Shawnee. We'll see. All right, next up we have Guillotine's most bang for buck pickup. All right, so what this is, guys, is the player that got picked up for the best price and helped their team the most. So, you're going to look at players like Jonnu Smith, like a Jerry Jeudy, guys that were, maybe overlooked early on, Chuba Hubbard. Those are some players that we were honed in on when we were looking for the right pick for this one. And we kind of ended up getting down to Jerry Jeudy as our guy because he's been able to give you the most consistent points out of the players that we were discussing for the, streak of the last few weeks here. So we basically honed in on Jerry Jeudy, and then we went to find out who got Jerry Jeudy and where. So with no further ado, we will give you the guy who got the best value, and I think you might recognize this name because it's Todd again. Way to go, Todd. 2 shotties for Todd. The man's double fisting. Way to go, baby. Loving it. Man, he picked up Jerry Jeudy and off of waivers for $0, ladies and gentlemen, on October 17th, long before any of us thought that was going to make a difference. I mean, that might have been like the day after Deshaun's knee injury or something. Because like he basically was like, "Oh, Deshaun's out. Jerry's an option now," and he just went and swooped him up right quick. And this guy, not only does he have him in this league, I believe he also had him in the other league. So, he's a savvy manager, this man, and he deserves to double fist his Shawnees because he's a savvy manager.
Fine pickup.
Right? And the more I say double fist, I think maybe I should not have named it Shawnee.
Give me a double-fisted Shawnee, please.
Oh, gotta love it. All right. Next one up, we have the coach of the season, ladies and gentlemen. And for this award here, it's very specific, this award. The coach of the season is the person who maximized the value out of their specific team. It does not matter how many guillotine leagues they entered. It doesn't matter how well they did across the board. It's one specific league that they just destroyed it in. And that is our friend that Connor so elegantly gave away earlier. Chiefs Life 13! Not you! We love this, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. It's Chiefs Life 13 with the team that Connor brought up, who just destroyed the final week because he was the only one with money going into the last elimination and was literally able to add an entire roster's worth of players when the roster grew for the playoffs. And I mean, it paid off in a big way this week. So, I anticipate that is pretty much the move that will win him the season.
Oh, yeah.
So I think he definitely deserves that award for that team.
Hard to
disagree, right?
Yeah, no, I don't disagree at all. Not just had money left, but had enough to pick up whoever he wanted, how many ever he wanted, how he wanted. He could pick up, basically the guy's whole team that got dropped, and he did. So,
because we added so many roster spots to that final week to go into the last week that he basically didn't have to drop but 2 or 3 players to pick up all the guys he wanted, and that's that was just a preference at that point because players that his bottom level players were not going to be anywhere close to the potential guys he could have got, and he didn't need to really drop too many to get a higher value out of it. I think he pick up 7 or 8 guys, off that roster, fill his spots, maybe 1 or 2 guys he replaced, and that was it. So it was a really, really great strategy that played out perfectly for him. I mean, it definitely was a thing of beauty to watch. So you deserve that, Shawnee, my friend, and I hope you display it proudly on your mantle. The wifey will let you, I promise.
I think if Connor doesn't get one of these awards soon, he's going to hold out on the next show.
Yeah, right. He's going to Jamar Chase me.
Yeah,
or actually, Jamar didn't really hold out, right? So let's go with like Le'Veon Bell. He's going to Le'Veon Bell.
He got what he wanted. Because he got what he wanted, Sean.
All right, and going into our final, last but not least by any means, this is the Shawnee of Shawnees, guys. This is our, what is it? What's the biggest one of the Oscar? What the one that Will Smith won after he slapped Chris Rock. This is that version of our Shawnee. Okay,
Entertainer
guys?
of the year.
Yeah, right. Whatever you want to call the biggest, fattest, Shawneeest Shawnee you can get. So GM of the year is basically in reference to the overall birth of what you did, right? Like the whole scope of your guillotine approach. So if you only entered in 1 league and somebody entered in 2 leagues and did well in those 2 leagues, it almost pretty much eliminated you from this award. You needed to be in more than 1 league for this award. You need to do well in more than 1 league to win this award, which is why it's different than what Chiefs Life did. He did amazing in 1 league, but his overall scope of work was not as impressive as this gentleman here who's going to win this Shawnee. So drum roll, please, ladies and gentlemen. The Shawnee of all Shawnees, GM of the season for 2024 goes to C-Bomb 18. Oh, God, that hurt to do that for you. Man, that was
Pity clap.
I feel like I wasted the good surprise on you. Just
Congratulations. Well deserved.
So Connor, so everybody, before we let Connor go on and on and on and on and on about what he did to earn this award, let me just go ahead and give you guys a little bit of a synopsis as to why he won this award, because there was an honorable mention for this award. Our good buddy TB76 that you had saw already double fist in Shawnee's. He basically was really close to getting this award because he did make the playoffs in 2 leagues that he entered. He did not enter the 3rd league, and Connor entered all 3 and made the playoffs in all 3. And even though they both like made 100% of their leagues and playoffs, the fact that you can do that with 3 different leagues, and all 3 of these leagues, as you guys know from listening, played out completely differently. So it wasn't like Connor could just employ the same strategy across the board and be able to make it through. He had to work hard in every league and had to handle each one differently in order to get to where he was. So, I had to give him a little bit of love, as hard as it was for me. I mean, my hand literally smacked me in the face halfway through typing C-bomb, but I had to get through it. I had to do it because it was the right thing to do. And I don't want these Shawnees to ever be tainted in any way. I want people to understand that this is an award that you earn.
Thank you, Sean. It feels actually pretty good to hear you say that.
Now, it's the only time, so
I
good thing
unloaded.
recording. You can go listen to it whenever you want.
I unloaded the chamber. It's all good.
I'm glad. Yeah, we don't want you doing anything rash.
But yeah, it was a good year for guillotines. I had a couple scares, so it's not like it was all butterflies and rainbows. There's some weeks that I was like second lowest a couple times and stuff like that. So it was fun, definitely fun to play. One of the. I'm really glad I joined all 3 because it was really fun to keep up with them. I think Scott said it on the last pod. Like, these are leads that you can't just put off. Some of your redraft leagues, you set your lineup for a couple weeks and you let it ride. You might check it for an injury or 2, but not really looking at waivers when you have a really good team. But even if you have a really good team like Chiefs Lights did, and you play it right, you could guarantee a win by week 13, 14 like he did. So these leagues are really fun to play.
Yeah, it's definitely a blast, man. And kudos to homie who invented this, because Scott, what's his name again, real quick, because I have a hard time remembering it.
Paul Charchian.
Paul Charchian. Congratulations, Paul Charchian. You, my friend, created something that is amazing. And I think it honestly could be one of the funnest, if not the funnest, way to play fantasy right now, at least until the triathlon destroys it. But
also,
we'll wait to see when that happens.
Also, thank you to you and Trevor, because y'all are the ones that brought it to Ballsville and brought us all into these leagues. So it's not just Paul Charzian or whatever his name is. I mean, even with him, we're probably not playing it and not talking about it right now without you and Trevor bringing it into Ballsville. So.
Yeah, I mean, it had to be done. I think it would, if it wasn't us, it would have been one of you guys. It's definitely something that was going to happen one way or another. I think it's just a natural progression of things with the group that we're building here.
Yep.
So yeah,
and without the Guillotine podcast, we would never get that epic picture from Trevor.
Exactly, right? That, yeah, and the epic Shawnees. I mean, all of this is just born from all of our love for Guillotine right now. This is great.
We would never know what Sean and a blazer and a jersey looked like.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, guys, I don't know if y'all noticed this, but this is literally the only blazer I own, and I haven't worn it in a few years, and it's slightly tight. So I can only do the one button, because if I have the 2 buttons, I'm afraid one of them will pop at some point in time.
That's his high school prom blazer right there.
Yeah, exactly. It was one of those, like, you pull it out of like the suit jacket, and like kind of brush it off a little bit and throw it on, and you're like, wait a second.
That's too many mushroom burger and burritos that you've been eating the last year and a half.
Year and a half, man. Try 42 and a half. Oh man, gotta love it. So guys, this was our last Shawnee, right? Because all you guys deserved to be recognized for
I think there's one more.
But there's more. Is there another Shawnee? Is there one more?
I think there's one more at the end. You might have to refresh, but
well, I don't. We're gonna be surprised.
Connor
Slide, guys. So if there's another one on here, It's either gonna be my favorite. It's not. It's the turdies.
Yeah,
We got the turdies, ladies and gentlemen. Unless Totters, that might be after the turdies, but for now we're gonna go into the turdies. So we've got the first annual, not Shawnee, but Turdy Award. And if you guys are not familiar with the Turd Team of the Week, it's been a running thing that we do. If you had the crappiest team of the week that scored the least out of all the eliminated teams, you got a nice whopping bowl of turd. And, it stunk up our pod for every few minutes that we had to discuss it. But, it was something that was a regular thing. And we thought it would be fun to add that to an award, and just make sure that you guys understand that if you really turded it up for the whole season, like we had to give you a nice, cool trophy for it.
Just to preface, how did you come up with the winner of this award? Because it's not one guy that just got eliminated and he's gone. It's like, So what?
Yes.
How did you come up with the winner of this reward?
So there's a lot of factors that went into this. I'm not going to just snag a guy like Gallows who was in one league and got eliminated in one, and then just pinpoint that guy. That's really not fair. You know what I'm saying? That's like shooting the private who was standing in front of the general who ordered all the bad crap. Like that guy did nothing. Like that's not the guy you want. It's the general you want, right? So I really looked into some factors, and how you spent your fob was a factor. How you managed your team was a factor. How you made trades was a factor. And when it came down to it, there was really only one choice for this award. And I think you know where I'm going with this because I believe you were in that scenario, in that discussion that we had about this. And he's on the right path as well.
On it right now too.
Yep. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, the manager with the most room to grow, usually what you hear right before you get let go, is Extreme Experience.
Name on that guy.
Not all that extreme. So basically, this gentleman, so let me preface this by saying that he wasn't a bad guy. He was a fun guy to chat with. He made for good interaction. He stayed, lighthearted. He didn't take things to heart when people were ragging on him. So, I give him the props for that part of it and everything. The reason he won this award was it wasn't even the horrible-ish trade that he made with me and to start the season that blew everybody up. But it was really what it boiled down to was his management of his team on a weekly basis, as far as setting his rosters. I believe he even missed a couple of times, setting a roster spot where he didn't even have a starter in one of his spots and somehow floated through.
So week 13. Like he made it to like week 13. It's not like he made it to like 5 or whatever. He made it pretty far.
He made it far in the league, and he had every opportunity to take advantage of his scenario, and he never did. And that was another factor involved in this decision, because he had $267 to start the season because he made a trade with me where I gave him $67 in fob before the season started. So he was already ahead of the 8 ball when it came to fob, and he hung on to that for like 9 weeks. He didn't spend $1. I think he made like 2 or 3 transactions. And that was it. And he waited that long to spend it. And then when he did spend it, he spent it like on 2 players. He spent 60 on one, 40 on another, and then sat for the rest of the time with $167 for like 4 more weeks, made 1 transaction in the middle of a week, and that was it. Never spent a dime, and then got eliminated. And he was sitting at that point with so much more money that had he attacked those last few weeks prior to his elimination, he would have been literally the best team in that league and been like competitive as heck. But he just didn't pay attention. And that's number one, manager with the most room to grow. Your room to grow in this scenario is to stay on top of your league, man. A guillotine league is not a redraft league. If you don't stay on top of it, you will be eliminated and you will be gone. You will not do a 12-week run like you did this time on a yearly basis. This is a one-off. Normally, you would have been knocked out way earlier.
Also, you don't want to join a team with a bunch of, fantasy lovers. Like, not setting your lineup just drives you up a wall when you see somebody not do it. If you love fantasy football, it just drives you up a wall. So there's a bunch of people even complaining like they wish he set a lineup, even though they would have been eliminated if he did or whatever. So just seeing that as a fantasy fanatic, just
Yeah,
makes you mad
it's
and
usually
whatever.
grounds for expulsion from a league, as it
Yeah.
would be in these guillotine leagues. If it consistently, I mean, he let it happen 1 week, came back in for a few weeks, let it happen 1 week, came back in for a few weeks. So, if it had gone into a third time, had he stayed in the league longer, then at that point it becomes a conversation that needs to be had, or a replacement manager needs to be
Yeah.
brought in, because it's not good for the league integrity for that situation to happen on a regular basis.
Yep.
So that is the reason you won the first ever annual Turdy. So I mean, you can take it as a good thing if you want to. You can take it as a bad thing. It's just room to grow. So the next one that we have one more Turdy award. Oh no, that was it. That was our only Turdy award. We did have one more Turdy award that we didn't end up having time to get into the slides, guys. So we won't worry about ragging on that poor guy. But
What was it?
just know that there was another Turdy out there, and it was for a pickup, the worst pickup of the season.
Okay.
So we won't want to rag that guy, because to be honest with you, I felt a little bad about that one anyways, because it basically turned out that it wasn't really the man's fault. It was more of an injury scenario that happened, but it could have been foreseen. It was very easily foreseen, but again, I don't want to go into too much detail because I don't want to call anybody out. But yeah, it was definitely something that was on the verge and just over the edge of earning themselves a Turdy.
If you have a chance, if you refresh, there is one more Shawnee award. If you can, it's in between. It's in between all the other Shawnees.
No, I do not see one.
What? I'm looking at it.
I'm not.
Here, I'll share my screen.
Yeah, just Connor can share his screen.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, here we go.
Now I see it.
I see
Now I
it.
see it. Dun, dun, dun. So my good friend and co-host Connor decided he wanted to provide a Shawnee with another award for the host of the season. And I mean, it's pretty easy to be the host of the season when there's only one of you. But you know what?
Wait.
I'm not going to turn it
How
down.
am I getting snubbed for this one already? What the heck?
You got snubbed by your own award.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, now is it pretentious to just name the award after yourself, but then to also give you an award after you've named it after yourself? I feel like that's like over the top.
This should be a Scotty award, since Scott's the host of all hosts.
Yeah, right. I mean, Scott should be getting this award for the standard host of the year award, because he deserves it.
No, I cannot host this show.
I love the sound of disgust, Scott. I really appreciate that. That's nice of you.
The show's too much for me.
Oh,
It's on too late.
Yeah,
Scott's
we are definitely a late night show on this one, guys. This is not something that you guys are going to see on our standard Ballsville pod.
Yeah, you're not going to see any Shawnees or double fisting or anything like that. So,
or Blazers,
guys with blazers too small.
Yeah, right. Fat guy in a little coat.
Wow, Cheeky's older than you, Scott. How is that possible?
Is he?
That's what he said.
How old is Cheeky? Cheeky, how old are you? I should say, how young are you?
Oh, awesome. All right, guys. So before we finish up here, guys, we're getting down to the nitty gritty. So I want to make sure that we go over these last couple things with you guys, and say thank you once again for attending the first annual Shawnees. The after party will be at Scott's house in Florida. So feel free to come on by. His wife's already laid out all the hors d'oeuvres, and we're going to be having a good time in the pool. So come on over.
Yeah, we got the bingo set up in the back and shuffleboard for everybody, for all us old people. So come on down.
Aren't you going on a seniors cruise here soon? Or
yeah, we're taking the fam on a cruise here. That's our Christmas Christmas every year,
Seniors
going on
cruise.
vacation.
Like, is there a cruise that's not really a seniors cruise? I mean, let's be honest, guys. Like, the longer the boat, the older the crowd.
Yeah. So
You're going on a 2-weeker, right? You're probably looking at about like average age of like 68.
no, it's not gonna. It's 10 days. It's
Oh yeah. Okay, so
Kid-
63.
it is it's a European ship, so it's actually kind of an older crowd. So
Dude, like I just said, it's a cruise. It's always an older crowd. Unless you're
Alright.
going on the Carnival 3-day, 4-day like
Yeah, if
hopper
you're going on
over
a
at
Carnival,
Catalina, then
it's-
like yeah, Carnival boat is the party boat or a Virgin boat. If you go on a Virgin boat that's 21 and over, those are usually more party animal people. But I've been on a couple of those, like, I went on a week-long cruise to Mexico, and I'll tell you, man, it was nothing but blue hairs in there. All right, off topic. But have fun on your cruise.
You won't see that on Tuesday's pod.
no, I will be at Tuesday's pod, but then that'll be it for the remainder of the year for me.
Wow.
Oh man. All right. Well, yeah, because don't worry, Scott. We're gonna have your Viking horns and long blonde locks waiting for you when you come back.
Connor, are you going to be on the show tomorrow?
Yep.
Okay.
Awesome. All right. So the last thing that we're gonna cover real quick, guys, is we want to do an update for you guys on how the playoffs have gone so far for the 3 leagues, because I know you guys are all wanting to know where everybody's at. So for the first league, the Sleepy Hollow League, myself, Connor, Trevor, and Todd were the 3 teams that remain, or the 4 teams that remain. The highest scoring team was myself, 250.74. What can I say? It was a good day. Right behind me was TB Todd at 233.38, and then C-Bomb at 223.34, and then Trevor was bringing up the rear at 206.14. So Trevor's going to have a lot of work to do, and at some point I'll go in here and I'll update all those colors and give Trevor a nice brown box. Next one over here, we got the 18 heads in a duffel bag league. Again, we know Connor's in all 3. So there's Connor again at 258.06, sitting at the top in this league. So he just barely outscored me on that one. He's the next guy behind him was Todd, who this is his second league that he made the playoffs in. He's at 239.02, so he's nipping at his heels. Jimmy Bojo fell behind a little bit, went down to 208.58, and Trevor is bringing up the rear once again at 199.64. And then our third and final league. Don't worry, guys. Trevor's not bringing up the rear this time because he's not in it.
He was out week
this
1.
We got this one here. We got C-Bomb once again in this league. Actually, he is not the top scoring team though, because this is the league that Chiefs Life destroyed it in, and this is what happens when you get Coach of the Year in a guillotine, right? 297.04.
Wow.
And that's not even his optimal lineup, if I'm not mistaken. I believe he had bench players that he could have played over certain players and ended up with a higher score even. So, I mean, that's, you talk about getting out to a great head start to take this league down. That pretty much, if he does another week like that, it's almost impossible to catch him.
So, yeah, you have to basically pray for injuries, which you never want to do. So
exactly. And then behind him was Spartan 636 at 237.12. C-Bomb was rounding out the top 3 at 235.02. And the only time we've heard his name here on this pod, but we will hear it a lot more over the next few weeks, Cash 3 is in the last and final spot, bringing up the rear at 173.72.
Yeah, just to give you an idea of the amount of depth that Chiefs Life has, here's just a couple of his bench players that scored over 25. He had Jalen Hurts on his bench. James Cook on his bench also scored over 25. A.J. Brown on his bench. And then he has a couple of guys that scored right around 15 with Drake London, Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, all on his bench. That's not any of his starters. That's just purely guys on his bench that he had there. So as you can see, he built his team quite unbeatable.
Yeah, that is a really, really good reason to win yourself a Shawnee. I'll tell you that right now. So, excuse me, guys. The last and final thing before we sign off with you guys, we want to cover, and I would not call this the least by any means, because this is up to date, the largest 2024 Ballsville payout that has been earned because our mini leagues have officially completed. Ladies and gentlemen, that means no more mini leagues. We have ourselves a champion. So let's pull that up for you guys and show off our winner here, huh? And give him some kudos. So as you can see, guys, this is our scoreboard here. The breakdowns came away at there was 40 total leagues, and 20 of those teams decided to wager. So, out of that, we ended up with 20 teams wagering and $30 a piece. That gave us a $600 pot that we added 62 to make a total of 660. On top of that pot, that is the pot that people wagered in. Even if you did not wager, if you scored the most points this week and won your division, then you would get a bonus of $30. And if you scored the most out of everybody that wagered and that didn't wager but won their divisions, then you would win a bonus of $100. So you could get the $660 and you could get the $130 if you wagered. If you did not wager, you could get the $130. So it was a really cool setup for you guys. And this is all based on a $4 buy-in, guys. This is a $4 buy-in. I'm going to repeat that, a $4 buy-in to get to this point. So you're talking hundreds of dollars for less than a Big Mac. So this is amazing. And our winner of this, so as you guys can see, if you look at these breakdowns here, you can see we had all the scores up here for everybody throughout the season here, or throughout this week for the people that decided to wager, which is this list right here that you see. And our winner is Gormana7 with 260976 as the top score for the week. I'm sorry, that's not the top score of the week. I am so sorry, guys. I read the wrong one. Sorry, Gormana, you did not win. Womp, womp, womp. That's not your fault.
I was like, what?
What?
I was reading the overall score right here for the total score, the highest one there. It's actually the 241.1 right here by Jill Valentine, JM Hub, Jill Valentine League.
Yeah.
JM Hubs is the actual winner.
Oh,
JM
yeah.
Hubs, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry for that.
Hopefully that guy's not tuning in.
No,
Right?
doubt.
Poor Gormana, right? He's gonna be he's gonna be like suing me.
Just joking.
No, that wasn't done on purpose, buddy. You just did so well during the season that I just assumed that you were gonna win it. But
Good thing we're not a department store, and that guy could call in and say, you know what, that Sean said it. It was on the price tag. You got.
Hey man, that's why we're not a department store, man, because we don't have the funds to be making up for stupid mistakes by idiot co-hosts or hosts in this scenario. Oh man, gotta love it. So JM Hubs, congratulations, buddy. That's one of our regulars too. So I'm really glad to see a name that we recognize that took it down. Good for you, dude. I mean, I got my butt kicked in this one, so I was completely out of it, and I was just rooting for somebody cool to win. So I'm glad it was you, brother. And if you could tell right here, it looks like he snuck his way into that first place spot at the very last second too. So that's a pretty awesome little 2-week span right there, to go from thinking you might not even make it to getting in and then winning it all. Like, way to go, man.
Yes. Congrats.
So that is our mini league champion, and we are going to get ready to get out of here, guys. We want to make sure that you join us tomorrow, though, because that was just the mini leagues. Coming up tomorrow and this week, we have the big game. That is gonna be epic. We're looking at a massive payout for those opportunities there, and we're really excited to cover that. So join us tomorrow for sure, if you guys can, at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and we will go through all of those winners with you guys and have a great time doing it, just like we did here today at the Shawnees. Having a great time chatting it up with you guys. We hope you enjoyed it. For my co-host Connor, for my normal host, but today's special guest, Ludes for Sale, we have to say thank you and good night.
Scott's got to hit the Tempur-Pedic.